to our YouTube channel, Math with Jeewa. This is the continuation lesson of investment appraisals. So today we are going to talk about payback period. So let's get started. Now you know payback period. So it is one of the investment appraisal techniques. So we are planning to have 4 investment appraisal techniques: payback period, net present value, IRR or else internal rate of return, accounting rate of return. Out of this is the most simple version of investment appraisal technique. So payback, what does that mean? The time period it will take to pay back the amount you invested on the project. So how many years you want to wait to get the amount you invested. That is the definition of payback period. Now tell me, so can you expect the same style or the same pattern of cash inflows for each and every project? No. Sometimes in some projects you may get same amount of money or the same cash flow for each and every year. So those are we call even cash inflows, right? So sometimes you may get, let's say lesser amounts in early years, then latter part of the project you will get the higher amounts. So we can't say exactly first year let's say 50,000 and second year 50,000. No. So sometimes the cash inflows are uneven. So when we have two patterns to get the cash inflows, even and uneven, we want to have two ways to calculate the payback period of a project. Right, it depends. So what is the way we are going to use to calculate the payback period? It depends on the cash inflows. Right, so we'll move to the first one. Let's say we are going to have even cash inflows. That means each and every year you are going to have the same amount. First year 50,000, second year 50,000. If so, how you can calculate the payback period? So I'll write down the equation. So the formula, payback period, right? So if you have the same amount or else with even cash inflows, how do you calculate the payback period? You get your initial investment amount, right? Initial investment amount divide by your annual cash inflow, right? For an example, there is a project. You want to invest, let's say 1 million, right? And you are expected to receive 200,000 net cash inflow each year for the next 7 years, let's say, right? Now, your initial investment will be 1 million. So, right? And each year you are expected to receive 200,000. That's your annual cash inflow. Now tell me, how do you calculate the payback period? You take the initial investment and divide it by 200,000. So the annual cash inflow. Now what happened? 5 years, that is the payback period of this particular project. Now tell me, payback period of that particular project is 5 years. If you have few projects, let's say if you have 3 projects and you want to select which one you are going, because you have only 1 million. Each and every project A, B, C, for each project you want to spend 1 million. Let's say you have only 1 million. So you want to select one of them, the best one you want to select. Let's say you have 3 million, but you are not going to do all 3 because for out of these 3 projects you want to select the best one. Then you can later invest that 2 million, remaining 2 million on something else. Likewise, so somehow you want to select. If so, based on payback period, which one you are going to select? The project which is having the lowest payback period you are going to select. But here what happened? You have only one option, right? So you want to decide whether I'm going to proceed with this project or not, whether I'm going to invest on this project or not. If so, tell me 5 years. How do you decide 5 years? Let's say it is 6 years or 3 years, 2 years. How do you decide whether I'm going to invest on this project or not? For that, the company should have a policy, payback period policy, right? So we are not accepting any project which is having more than 3 years payback period. So that's their policy. Or else, always to accept a project, there should be a payback period which is less than 4 years. Likewise, there should be a company policy. Then how do you set this company policy depends on your financial position or else your liquidity position. Sometimes the opportunities you have or else it depends on your past experiences with regard to projects. Likewise, many factors will be affected to decide the company policy with regard to payback period, right? So somehow, let's say this company, based on all these factors, they have decided or else their company policy to accept a project which is having 3 or less than 3 years payback period. If so, this company, so the project is not undertaken by this company. Now can you understand? If you have only one option, so you should have, let's say you have many options, still you should have a policy with how many years or else with what is your payback period, target payback period. We call that target payback period in the company, right? So based on that, you want to select whether you want to decide whether I am going to proceed with this project or not. Now let's move to the other pattern. I told you one is even cash flows. If so, this is very easy. You want to get the initial investment and divide it by annual cash inflow. Let's say you have a project with uneven cash flow. For an example, I'll show you like this. There is a project. For that, you want to invest. Let's say this is the time period or else the year, right? So this is the cash inflow or else cash flow. This is the cash flow, right? So Y0, what does that mean? Y0, that is today. We invest that particular amount today, Y0. And what is Y1? At the end of the first year. Y2 at the end of the second year. Y3 at the end of the third year. Y4 and Y5, likewise you can have the time periods from 0, that means from today. So I want to spend 550,000, right? I want to spend 550,000. Okay. So that's my cash outflow. So I'll show it within brackets. So it's my cash outflow, right? Then let's say first year, at the end of the first year, I'm going to receive 40,000, right? At the end of the second year, I'm going to receive 65,000, right? Third year, it is 140,000, and fourth year it is 175, right? 175, then 140,000, then last year let's say 70,000. Now tell me, earlier simply you calculated the payback period. Now what happened? You have invested 550, you want to invest 550,000, and these are the cash inflows you are going to have in year 1, at the end of the year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now how we are going to select? For this, you want to have cumulative cash flow over the lifetime, over the period of this project, or the lifetime of this project. So here I am going to have cumulative cash flows, right? So cumulative cash flows. When you are having cumulative cash flows, the today Y0, what is that? You have invested 550, okay? So it's a cash outflow. At the end of the first year, you have received 40,000. right? Now, how much you want to recover more? So to be recovered, 510. Why is that? Because you have recovered 40,000. Now, another 510 only to be recovered. At the end of the second year, you receive 65,000, right? You receive 65,000. If so, you want to recover another 445,000. Right, altogether now you have recovered 105,000, right? 40,000 and 65,000. Now to be recovered only 445. Then third year you are going to receive 175. Then what happened? This becomes 305, right? And this becomes 130. Now what happened? At the end of the fourth year, to be recovered only 130,000. And here, so I'll write this clearly. Wait, will you? 40, 65, 40, 65, 40, 65, 140, 175, right? Again 140, then 70. This is how cash inflows are, right? Now what happened? So 550, 510. So this should be 445, right? You can calculate using a working column separately. 510 minus 65, it is 445. Then 445 minus 140, it is 305. Right? Then 305 minus 175, it is 130. Now look at this. Now 130 to be recovered. When you go to the next year, you know you are going to receive 140. Now it is for sure you can recover this 130 during the fifth year. First, second, third, fourth and fifth year, right? So during the fifth year, you can recover this amount. Now the payback period, so during the fifth year, you can recover this. Now when it comes to the company decision, in the board meeting, now we are telling during the fifth year, we can recover this. So, is it enough to make a decision? No. You cannot say like that. Exactly you want to, because whoever the shareholder, whoever the stakeholder, he is interested on his investment, right? So, how can I get the return? So, if so, as accountants, right? So, we want to prepare the exact report to make the exact decision. Now roughly I can say during the fifth year I can recover this 130. So the payback period will be after the fourth year. Yes, it is sure. Now exactly I want to find at which point I am going to have this amount. For that, now tell me. I'll erase this. Hope you can copy down this. Look at 140,000 you are going to recover during a year, right? That is 12 months. Now you don't want to have 140 actually. To set off the amount or to pay back, to receive the amount you invested, you need only 130. Now for 140, you want to spend 12 months. That means to have 130 rupees, you want to have 12 over 140,000 multiplied by 130,000. So that is how you want to calculate the remaining months, right? So after calculating, it will give you 11.14 something, right? So exactly that means 11 months and another few days. So I'll approximately consider this as 11 months. Now can you understand? up to the fourth year, right? So at the end of the fourth year, you have recovered up to 130,000, other 130,000 only to be recovered. And during the fifth year, you know you are going to receive 140. Now you want to check at which point exactly I am going to cover that 130. 140 you are going to receive, you are going to earn during 1 year, that means 12 months. And to earn 130, how many months you want to spend? It is 11 point something, that means 11 months and few days. So approximately I'll consider this as 11 months. Now tell me what is the payback period of this project? 4 years and 11 months. Right, now let's say the company policy to accept a project with 4 years. This project is not undertaken. Company policy, let's say for an example, company policy is to accept a project with 5 years payback period. This project will be undertaken because the payback period of this project is 4 years and 11 months. Right? Hope everybody understood. Now, I promise you, in my first video, for each and every technique, there are advantages and disadvantages, and I am planning to discuss them because to decide which technique I am going to use, you should know the pros and cons of each technique. Now, payback period. What are the advantages we have? It is very simple. Anybody can do this. Anybody can calculate the payback period. So, it is very simple, right? And you consider only the cash flows. So, you are not considering accounting profits. So again, it's easier. So you don't want to know about much. You don't want to know much about accounting, but you just take the cash flows and you can calculate the payback period. So you are not considering accounting profit. So it is a figure which is affected with many factors. So here you don't want to consider accounting profit. Then the third one, it's easier, and you are going to select whatever the project with the lowest number of years. So the lowest payback period, what does that mean? You are going to have your money quickly. So you don't have any risk. So within 2 years, you are going to have the amount you invested. So you have less risk when you are going for a project with this method. So you have less risk. And also, if you are going to receive that amount after 2 years time, so you can invest that amount on another project. So you can think about multiple investment if you are going for a project with this appraisal technique. Right? So like the advantages, we do have disadvantages. First one, before discussing the first disadvantage, I want to show you something. Let's say we have two projects called A and B, right? We have two projects A and B, right? So for both, you want to invest 100,000. So that's your cash outflow, initial cash investment. Then first year you are going to receive 40,000. And the second year you are going to receive 60,000. So this is Y0 and this is Y1 and this is Y2 and Y3. Right? So third year, let's say you are going to receive 10,000. On the other hand, investment B, you want to invest 100,000 years, the same amount, but you are going to have, let's say, 40, same amount first year. Second year you are going to have 50 and third year 50, fourth year also 50. So that is the nature of third year. In project A you don't receive anything. Now tell me, based on payback period, which project you are going to select? You are going to select project A, Y, right? Because at the end of the second year, you are going to recover 100,000, which you have invested. But here what happens, second year, you have recovered only 90,000, so which you are going to reject. Now, think about the cash flows you are going to have after the payback period, or else after the second year. Here, you are going to receive only 10,000. Here, what happened? So 90,000, and out of this 50 you want to get 10. So that is your investment. 40, additional 40, another 50. That means sometimes in some projects, after the payback period or else after the third year, fourth year, there will be fantastic cash flows which you are going to ignore due to this technique. Now can you understand? That's the main disadvantage you may come across with this technique, because you are not considering the cash inflows after the payback period. The second disadvantage will be you are not considering time value of money. Now for the moment, don't think about it, because next video onwards we are going to talk about the time value of money in detail. So don't worry. For the moment, just think, for this analysis or for this calculation, we don't consider a concept called time value of money. So it is a disadvantage. And also, when it comes to financial performance, we want to have an idea about the profitability, right? So here we don't consider the profitability, we just consider the cash flow. So that's the third disadvantage. Now you identified or you learned what is the payback period. It is the time period it will take to pay back the amount you invested on a project, right? And when you are considering cash inflows, there are two patterns: even cash flows and uneven cash flows. So depending on the cash flow pattern, the way you want to calculate the payback period will be differ. So within even cash flows, how do you calculate the payback period? Your initial investment will be divided by the annual cash flow. Then if it is uneven, so what you want to do, you want to get the cumulative cash flows, right? And can you remember the way I calculated that 11 months? So why? Because we need to present the exact payback period. We cannot give approximate value. So within 5th year we are going to achieve this. No, we want to give the exact value to make decisions. Then next we talk about the advantages and disadvantages. What are the disadvantages we have? It is very simple. Anybody can apply, anybody can calculate the payback period, and we don't consider the profitability figures. So anyone who doesn't know much about accounting, you can still use this method using cash flows. And next one, we are going to accept the project which is having the lowest payback period. That means you have any risk, or else you don't want to face to the liquidity problems. And also you can think about another option or an opportunity to invest with the amount you receive back. What are the disadvantages we had? Here, we don't consider the cash flows after the payback period. There may be fantastic cash flows after the payback period. We don't consider them. And the second one, we don't consider the time value of money, which we are planning to discuss in the next video with net present value and IRR. Then the third one, when it comes to the financial performance, profitability is a very important technique which we are not considering here. So that's the third disadvantages, or else. That's the end of payback period. We'll meet again with net present value. Till then, keep in touch. If you have not subscribed my channel, that is Math with Jeewa, subscribe it and click the bell button to get the future notifications to get the highest marks for your professional exams, or else whatever the exam you are planning to do. Or else if you are a person who frequently come across with these techniques in your day-to-day life, in your job, to provide the best report to your boss. So learn these techniques well. For that, join with me and keep in touch. We'll meet again with net present value.